and some of the challenges they met along the way. We've got about 40 minutes this morning for conversation, and then about 20 minutes after that, we'll open it up to all of you for any questions that you may have for them as well. Now, before I get started, I also just wanted to say how excited I am to support the mission of Rebel Women. And I say this because I started my own business over 2 years ago. And one of the things I decided to do was reach out to the startup entrepreneurial community here in Cambridge and Boston. And one of the things I did was go to events at the Mass Challenge offices, the Microsoft Nerd Center, the Cambridge Innovation Center, Venture Cafe. And these were all great events, but one of the things I noticed is they were largely attended by men. Now, and I see everyone nodding here. There's a lot of reasons for that. This is certainly not unique to me and my observations alone or this particular area. We know what some of those reasons are, but it was disappointing. I also reached out to a number of women's based organizations in our area, of which there are many. Founder Friday is a terrific networking opportunity for women entrepreneurs to meet every month. That's held at the Microsoft Nerd Center downtown. The Center for Women in Enterprise, Women Entrepreneurs for Science and Technology, and many of our colleges and universities, Babson, Bentley, Harvard, MIT, Simmons, UMass, they are offering burgeoning programs now for any women who are starting businesses, which is great. But I also found some interesting observations from attending these events as well that were women's focused events. And that was, many of the women that I met were very inspirational. And they offered me a lot of advice and guidance and tips, but they were much further along in their journey than I had been. So they had their businesses underway for several years. They had had funding, or maybe they were even interested in selling their business at that point. What I didn't meet were women at the earliest stages of entrepreneurship. I didn't meet a lot of women really like myself, although I know a lot of women like myself. Having been out in the corporate world for 20 years, left a very senior position to very deliberately pursue entrepreneurship. I wasn't bumping into the women who opted out of the workforce or left for a while to have a family and raise their kids, and then maybe were excited about a particular business idea that they had, but they weren't quite sure about how to get from point A to point B. I didn't meet the women who were just thinking about something different, as Pauline was saying, maybe just thinking about pursuing a new or different career. And I can tell you that I know so many women right now in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who are thinking about a different career and not quite sure about how to go about doing that. So I am really excited to support what you guys are doing for Rebel Women. I think you're going to meet a wonderful unmet need here in this region, and excited about both the online offerings you have and events like this. So with that, I'm going to start off by asking all of you today to please share a little bit more about yourselves. I'm not going to introduce each of you because every one of us has your bio, but I'd like you to share with us what inspired you to start your business. And really share with us through the lens of your own personal experience. Was it your hobby? Was it your passion? Was it something you were really interested in? And how did that unfold for you with your businesses? Was it something that occurred over several years in the making? Or was it something that happened over a shorter period of time? So what we'll do is we're going to start with Lydia here, and then we'll go down the line.
My name is Lydia Blanchard, and you have the bios, but my business is Sweet Lydia's. And I started my business about 3.5 years ago after making marshmallows and candy and lots of other homemade goodies at home for probably about 1.5 years. I was baking a lot at home, got to a point where I really did not enjoy my job anymore and was looking for other jobs in the field and didn't really love the other options that I saw and didn't see, people kept asking, where do you want to be in 5 years, and then work backwards from that. And I didn't exactly know where I wanted to be in 5 years, and I didn't exactly figure out how I was going to get there. And I had a friend of the family offer to purchase toasted coconut marshmallows and pay for shipping, and then I would get them to her so she could take them to a party and brag about how her friend made them. And I figured, hey, if she's willing to pay for them and pay for shipping, maybe other people are. And that's kind of how it started. I figured at the time I was 25, and a 6-month gap on my resume where I started a business would not be a big deal. Granted, it was like 2009, so maybe it would have been a big deal had it not worked out in my favor. For me, I had like still no standard of living, and figured I could live really cheaply and like not really take a salary for a while and start a business and you know, use that experience to maybe do something else should the business not work out. So I kind of figured there was nothing I had to lose at the time. And I really enjoyed being a maker, and having a product and sharing that, you know, sweets with customers and friends and family. And it kind of took off from there. And 3.5 years later, I recently opened a storefront in downtown Lowell and expanded the product line a lot. So now we're making not just marshmallows and s'mores, but all sorts of candy. So that's kind of my starting story.
Excellent, thank you. Rachel?
My name is Rachael Fanopoulos. I own Mommy Bites Boston, and my journey started in New York City when I was a new mom there. And I was looking for connection with other moms and felt very alone and felt very overwhelmed as a new mom and feeling just like, who am I? I was one of the first of my friends to have a baby, so I felt that I couldn't really relate to any of my friends anymore. Everyone was still going out and I wasn't, so I was just yearning for a lot of connection. So Mommy Bites in New York was a company that already existed, and I was a regular at all their events. I would go to their support groups and their meetups, and I learned a lot about being a mom and also about kind of remembering who I was before I became a mom. Then we relocated to Boston, and I felt I had to kind of start over here. So instead of me trying to find connection, you know, through a lot of other means that were kind of small pockets, I thought to myself, maybe I should open up something just like Mommy Bites. So instead of me kind of reinventing the wheel and starting from scratch, I contacted the women that started Mommy Bites in New York. And we kind of created a brand new business here as partners. Now I'm the face of it and I run it, but we do have weekly calls and they're kind of my mentors through this entire process. It was very important to me to connect with other moms that felt the way that I did. It's a very personal journey for me to create Mommy Bites Boston, because I felt that a lot of women might lose themselves after they have children and feel like, you know, who is that sassy girl that I once was, you know, in college and early in my career, and you become so inundated as a mom, and it's a wonderful experience, but I wanted to create events and a platform for women to connect and remember who they were. So part of our offerings is Mommy is Me, which is the complete opposite of Mommy and Me. Mommy and Me events are strictly for the child. You know, it's moms and babies coming together to sing kids songs and to paint kids pictures and to do everything that, you know, is benefit to the child. Where Mommy is Me are events for the moms. So it's painting for moms, singing for moms, and getting together and kind of creating this spirit of womanhood, and remembering who you were before and fulfilling those passions and not forgetting those passions. And at these events we have free babysitting, and it's a way for you to go out with your child, but it's really focused on the mom's fulfillment. So Mommy Bites Boston, there's an online community, and the journey was huge because, you know, I started from not knowing anything about owning a business. The mentorship that I had through Mommy Bites in New York was a huge benefit to me, and I would recommend that to anyone that is looking to start their own business, is to kind of connect with those people that have already done it. Not reinvent the wheel necessarily, but create synergies with businesses that you feel that relate to you, and you can learn so much. I mean, events like this are huge. It's kind of a microcosm of what I'm talking about, just connecting with people that might have the same passions that you do to start something that just means something. And as Emily said, you know, she felt at the time that there wasn't a place for women that are starting a business, and you have to realize that there's people out there. If you have a passion about something, there's probably a lot more people that have that same passion. If you find that if you see that there's a problem or an issue worth solving, there's probably other people that feel that way too. So starting a business, you kind of open yourself up, and you realize that other people start to find you and contact you and say, thank you for doing that, and they want to connect with you and help you and kind of create these connections. So I would urge anyone to start connecting with people in that way, because it really helps. I just, you know, like I said, other people have the same problems that you do, so just kind of follow your passion, and I think something will happen is bigger than you ever gained.
That's great, Rachel, thanks. Nancy?
Hi, my name is Gangan, and I own a company called Nested Bean. The journey that led me to Nested Bean was quite an unexpected one. I'd spent close to a little over 15 years in corporate America doing IT management, doing business development. I worked a few years at State Street Bank and then numerous years at Fidelity, more than about 10 years. And while I was doing business development for these and managing at these corporations, I kept thinking, why can't I do this for myself? If I can make a case to build something new and then build it on budget, on time for someone else, why can't I do that for myself? And becoming a mother has its rewards and challenges. There's constant guilt that we all feel. There's the entrepreneur, there's the go-getter, ambitious side of you, and then there's the nurturing side of you that's constantly at odds. And so after having my first son, he's 8 years old now, I knew that if I ever had another one, that I wouldn't go back to the workforce immediately, that I would do something that would allow me some time with him. Anyway, so that was the background. And then we had our second son. He's 3 years old now. But you know, at that time, I said, okay, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to stay at home, and I'm going to figure it out as to what I want to be when I grow up. And as I was caring for him, and that's the unexpected part, as I was caring for him, I saw a huge difference between my first son and him. They had their own personalities, you know, and he just wouldn't sleep on his own. 5 minutes, I could mark my, you know, I could time my clock and my watches, and I would put him down in literally 5 minutes, and he would wake up. And I just couldn't figure out what it was that he got only in my arms. I would not be swinging him, I would not be singing to him. There was no sound or motion. It was just the feeling of being held. And I was found myself researching as to what that was, and you know, just intuitively I started mimicking that feeling. Just to lengthen his sleep, other than just me holding him. I said, what would happen if I were, instead of putting my palm on his body, what if I placed something else that would add that weight? You know, how does he know while he's sleeping that it's not me, but it's something else that's mimicking the touch? And that's how sort of experimentally I began mimicking the touch. And soon it was not just the palm, but the arms that would surround him. And I saw that his sleep pattern was getting better and better. And I was amazed at just that simple idea of mimicking or simulation of touch. And I later found out, and thank goodness to this wonderful place like Boston that we live in, I had such access to researchers, psychophysiologists from Harvard and BU, and I got to read their work, got to meet with them. And they said there's immense research that proves the value and the benefits of simulation of touch. And NICUs are using it on preemies who are touch deprived. And I was blown away. And I knew that I found my calling, you know. I mean, what could be better than helping a little baby and then helping the family as an extension? So I started doing a lot of research on, well, this was a contraption that I had created. Is it going to work on other babies? And I did. I found my control group. I tested it just during their sleep time in front of their moms, and their moms could not believe how easy it was for them to just fall asleep and stay asleep amidst, you know, an older toddler brother or sister making a lot of noise, which would normally wake them up. So basically, they were getting the comfort and the security in this contraption that I had. Actually, there is a swaddle right there. I mean, that's the finished model that you see, but it didn't start out that way. And there are these weighted areas on the side and the center that add very light pressure on the baby's body. And so I started, the first research was the effectiveness. The second research was, is it safe? Because you're introducing something in the baby's sleep environment. And CPSC has, you know, these days a thing called the web. It makes a lot of stuff available at the tips of your finger, you know. And so I read a lot about the safety in constructing something like this. And then it was just a matter of hiring fantastic designers who took it to where it was. Thanks so much, Tara. Took it to where it was, to what you just saw. And it's a swaddle. We decided to construct it in the form of a swaddle because swaddling has been accepted and is being used quite widely in the United States and across the world. It has been used in the Eastern world for such a long time and has been taken very well here. So we decided to create in the form of a swaddle first. Last year we launched and started selling in August. And it was a test market. I wanted to make sure that the product was successful and it was going to be received well. So I'm just talking about, the test or the soft launch of if you're doing a product launch into the market, there are certain steps that you have to go through because you're taking constant feedback from the market, Just because I think it's a great idea, does everyone else think it's a great idea? Is someone going to not only use it, but willing to pay for it, So there is this constant feedback loop that you gotta create. And we did that, and last year we did this test market. It was very well received. Within the second month of just introducing the product into the market, we hadn't even started selling. People.com named us the top 15 essentials, and we were stacked up against Fisher Price, Aiden and NA, and here we were. We hadn't even started selling. And it was that, so success, there's nothing that succeeds like success. So I'm just going to constantly keep giving you the mantras, that when you start, you don't know what you're going to become, So you just create that feedback loop and take the feedback and take that energy that everyone else around you is going to give back to you. And then that builds your engine, that energy engine. So anyways, so that's what my journey was. And last year we kept it very small, just 15 stores because, it's a sleep environment. You don't know what risks you're getting into. Yes, the safety firm said that you're beating safety standards, and the pulmonologists that reviewed the results asked for a second test because they couldn't believe how good the results were. And but anyways, all said and done, when your product is in the hands of a user, there's a separate test that happens. So we took it slow. We only limited it to the 15 stores last year, and this year we are in 75, and we're growing really rapidly. So it's been good. It's been very rewarding, and I absolutely second what has been said so far regarding surrounding yourself with a network. Your network is going to be key, paramount. You cannot be alone. The path to entrepreneurship is very, very alone. You have no feedback otherwise. You have to decide what's wrong, what's right, based on some data that you receive from your surroundings. And surrounding yourself with the right people is the fastest way. It's very slow despite of that, but it's still the fastest way to reach your goals. So that's what I would say. It's been a fun journey.
Thank you, that's great. And Linda?
Hi, I'm Linda Sharpe. I'm the owner of Mad About Shoe in Winchester, and I'm also a broker with Hammond Real Estate full-time. My journey was kind of quick. When I bought the store in June '09, just a few months prior, the former owner of the store had called me and said she wanted to sell the business. She had become a friend of mine. I had shopped at the store. I sold her houses. So I found her a business broker to start the process. And I went home to my husband that Friday night and said, I think I want to buy a shoe store. He was a little bit taken aback. He said, I didn't know that was one of your goals in life. But, we all like shoes. I did my due diligence as far as, the financials on the store, had my lawyer look over things, and established a price, and it just happened. So I did it because certainly a passion for shoes. I still believe in bricks and mortar stores, and I wanted to still stay connected to Winchester. I think it has a very nice environment downtown, and I wanted to be a part of that. Also, it was just a creative outlet for me, and I wanted to, the store had at the time become a little bit dusty, so I I had not shopped there as much as I had in the previous 5 years, and I thought it was a challenge to turn it around. So, bring the age demographic down to more like 35 to 65. It's not geared toward 20-something-year-olds, the cost of the shoes and the style, but it would be people like me, that would be shopping there. So it's been both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. It takes an enormous amount of capital to keep the business going, and you don't know what the vagaries of the shopping public are. It could be, I come home at night and my husband says, well, how does the store do today? And I said, well, it's raining out and a few people came in, or it's raining out and people were bored and they came in. So you just don't know what's gonna cause people to come out and purchase. So it's still, I still find it a challenge. It's something I still enjoy. One of the things, of course, is who else would buy a business in the middle of a recession? So, I'm also been challenged by online shopping, and then the big boy stores like Nordstrom's. So my focus is to, I can't compete on price, but I can compete on having different things and also just the personal service that you get. So, and I also want to make it kind of like a salon, because I have a lot of empty wall space that's not occupied by displays. So what I'm also trying to do is support the local art community. So I have displays in my store. We have artist receptions on occasion. So it's just good to network that way as well. And that's my short story.
Well, that's great, thank you all. My next question is really about the everyday ups and downs of owning your own business. And what I'd like you all to do is share a little bit more with us, really whether or not you've ever received negative feedback about you couldn't do this or you shouldn't do this, or maybe it was your own self thinking about that, and how did you overcome that, or any kind of big obstacle in your way in starting your business? And I know, Lydia, you just spoke about a little bit about that, so if you could share a little more, and then we'll go back down the line.
So one of my challenges in doing the business was to make sure that people, my existing real estate clients, didn't think I was not going to do real estate anymore. So that was something that I have to constantly, and I have other brokers use it against me if I'm going out for a listing or for a client. So I did get some negative feedback from some of my coworkers, like, why would I want to do this? And I just wanted to run another business. So the other thing that is a little bit, people, I think the buying public doesn't understand, I'll get people coming into the store having, I know this sounds simple, but having worn the shoes for 2 weeks, and they come back and want me to take them back because they don't like them for some reason. And there's no, bad corporation behind me that I can just ship them to, and I have to explain to people, well, you see everything in the store, I've already paid for it, so you have to, I try to be accommodating, help them, give them a slight discount on something else, or kindly suggest that they donate the shoes to a sister or a friend or something like that. So those are probably my biggest things.
Right.
Just forge ahead.
Forge ahead, I like that. Well, this was my favorite question, because I love to hear no, believe it or not, because the people that say that something cannot be done, I call them my cheapest consultants. For free, I get to hear what I can do better. Imagine, if I could have more of those, I would, because every single time that I've heard the word no, I have come out of it better. You start based on an instinct, There is something about this. I know that there's something that I've stumbled upon. I can't tell you why yet, but there's something about this. So you create this contraption, you take it, I cancel. So I took the contraption to the person who could, and he said, "Who's gonna buy that?" And I said, "Just sew it." So that was the first no I heard, and I could have stopped there. And then someone else told me that, "Oh, it's a safety hazard. I mean, that's death." And I said, "All right, that means I need to do more on safety." So every single time you hear no, you know that you got to find a way out of it. Of course, I knew that my contraption was not going to sell, but they don't see what you can make of it. So it's fine. You just have to overcome it, so that when you take it back, oh, that's what you meant. So there's always a way to work around a no. You just have to go forward, because and it's also a great gut check, because just because I'm not saying that you don't get too emotional about it. You have to be extremely rational about every decision that you make, because there's time and money involved, a lot of it. But every time that you hear the word no, do a check against it and see if it is something valid or something that can be worked around. Knowledge is power, so be as educated about it as possible. Constantly check against risks that can come up, and find out if there is a way to work around them. But do move forward, and then you'll get to a place where there won't be as many no's.
For me, yeah, I think when I told people my idea of creating this online space and a physical space for moms to come together and connect, I always got, isn't there like a million other businesses just like that? And what about Meetup? And what about this other big company that does very similar thing? And I'm like, it's really not similar. I mean, my mission is much different than those, and what I'm going to be offering is much different. But people just can't see mommy company is mommy company. It's not really like that. So, I had to be very clear with defining what my mission was and how that's different from other mommy companies out there. And it's great. I mean, there's a lot of different offerings. There's a lot of different people out there. That's fine. There's space for everybody. I'm a very I'm a person that encourages people to do what they love and have passions around. So for me, it was just a very natural thing for me to I'm going to do this. And so when people started questioning, well, why would you do that? Are you going to quit your job? That sounds crazy. It made me explain it over and over again, and kind of, like Manasi said earlier, what you kind of started off thinking that you're going to do, it changes a little bit throughout, and as you sort of learn and get feedback, things change a little bit. So where I feel like I've landed is where I need to be and where I want to be, but that's also based on what other people need. So what I felt like I was offering just for me, like I said, there's a lot of people out there just like me, but I mean, I want to run a business too, so I wanted to offer things for other people. So you kind of learn throughout, you get negative feedback throughout, you get positive feedback throughout, and it just makes your company better, it makes your business better, it makes you help more people, it makes you connect more people. So, I started off slow, I was still working, and I was doing Mommy Bites on the side, and on the side meant every other minute of my day that I wasn't with my kids. It was, at 8 to 11 p.m., it was, 5 to 7 a.m., it was all weekend. It became so inundating to my life that I said things need to change. This isn't sustainable, this lifestyle. So then, you have to make another choice of quitting that job that gives you health insurance, that gives you a steady paycheck, that contributes to your 401k, that gives